Welcome, everyone. Thank you for all being here tonight and joining us for this live premiere. I am Michael Munson, and I'm with Forge, which is a national trans and non-binary anti-violence organization. I use he and him pronouns, and let me just share a quick visual description. I am a white-appearing, multiracial person. I'm in my mid-50s, and I have short brown and gray hair and a similarly colored beard. I'm wearing a pink checked shirt, and behind me is a black curtain. I'm here welcoming you with my friend and colleague, Jim Struve from Men Healing. Tonight is the culmination of about 4 months worth of workshops and collaboration, community building, hard work, and a lot of healing. We're so grateful that each of you is here tonight to witness, to engage, to support, and to be part of a healing experience for us all.
Thanks, Michael. I'm Jim Struve with Men Healing, a national organization focusing on supporting men and male-identifying people to heal from sexual victimization experienced during childhood or as adults. I use he, him, us pronouns. Let me share a brief visual description. I'm a white person in my mid-senior years of age. I have curly, grayish-brown hair dropping below my shoulders. I am wearing a casual blue shirt, and behind me is furniture and items in my office working space. Men Healing conducted a similar narrative-driven healing project last year, a collaboration with the Men's Story Project to focus on male survivors. The success of that project was reflected in the deep sense of connection and community that enriched the lives of the presenters, as well as the profound impacts that resulted from those men sharing their stories out into the world. The already existing partnership between Men Healing and Forge provided a natural opportunity for extending our collaboration to an innovative project with a specific focus on trans and non-binary survivors, individuals who all too often still remain invisible and overlooked. As a collective of presenters, coaches, facilitators, and supportive others, we are filled with so many emotions as we reach this point in the project of sharing it with all of you who are attending this evening or watching the archived recording. This Speak Out project journey has brought forward our own overlapping values of integrity, transparency, compassion, empowerment, and much more. As with all endeavors, we responded and recrafted this project along the way as we adapted to the needs of individual presenters, their emerging stories, and the dynamics of growing into a connected community.
Thanks, Jim. I'd like to introduce my longtime friend and colleague, the Reverend Lewis Mitchell, who will ground us and center us in a spiritual welcome. Reverend Lewis is a pioneering, intentional man, a trans elder who many of you might know, an advocate, a teacher, a student, a minister, a parent, and a friend. He is currently serving as the bridge pastor at Alki United Church of Christ in West Seattle. He is a co-founder and former executive director of Trans Faith. Lewis wasn't able to be with us today because it's the middle of Easter season, but he did record a message for us, so we'll play that now.
My name is Reverend Lewis J. Mitchell. I use he, him, his pronouns. And it is my honor to welcome you into this space. In a world that enjoys thinking in narrow binary ways, I invite you to join me in creating a kaleidoscopic space that weaves the spiritual and the secular, the sacred and the profane, woundedness and wholeness, deep sorrow and soaring hope, the mundane and the extraordinary, the timid and the wild, survival and life beyond survival. knowing that the world is filled with spaces that throw us away and treat us with malevolence, together we intentionally create this space of deep honoring and deep care. I invite you to open your heart to witness and hold hard truths and testimonies of harm endured. I invite you to be in support of the voices of those who have survived challenge, abuse, hardship, those who have been unheard, unseen, and unsupported by families, systems, and laws. I invite you to remember that our strength and vitality have come at no small cost and are worthy to be celebrated. I invite you to stretch for the groundswell of power of our shared histories, remembering all that have come before us, those whose slavery and servitude built our buildings and institutions while having little access to them, and those on whose stolen lands we reside. I invite you to welcome our ancestors and to honor the earth, the mother of us all. In this time, we will share together. We will thank those who share with us, and we will thank all of you who will listen with openness and care. And finally, I invite you to center yourselves by taking a few deep breaths and bringing your whole self to this time, to lean in, to listen, to honor. I invite you to make a commitment during our journey together to take care of yourselves. Step away if you need to. Take nourishment and water. Be good to yourselves. It is my hope and my prayer that we will, at the end of our time, feel a deeper affinity for love, for justice, for peace, and for the inherent worth of every living thing. Amen and Ashe.
Thank you to Louis for sharing so much beautiful message with us all. And I know that he will forgive me for forgetting to share the screen and then forgetting to unmute myself. So I'd like to move on and thank more of our people that have helped make tonight possible. So individuals and organizations that have helped with financial support for this project. We are incredibly grateful for the generosity from the Ruby Struve Fund, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, the Division of Public Health, Bureau of Aging and Disability Resources, Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Service Fund Program, the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, the LGBT Affirmative Psychotherapist Guild of Utah, Chris Courtois, and several individual private donors, as well as many people who have volunteered their time. Even though current statistics report that around 66% of trans and non-binary survivors will experience sexual victimization at some point in their life, our survivorship realities are often not included in the larger culture. Frequently, trans and non-binary survivors are not visible in movements like Me Too, or in awareness months like today in April for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Trans and non-binary survivors also face substantial challenges in accessing healing services due to structural barriers, providers' lack of knowledge, and trans folks' prior experiences with non-inclusive or non-welcoming services. The presenters today have chosen to take a bold move forward and share their stories with all of you. Reaching beyond the binary of narrative storytelling, the presenters will engage each of you with their dynamic and engaging approaches. Each presenter offers hope and inspiration about the process of healing. Some of the content may be intense, and we encourage you to take care of yourself.
This live event will be approximately 90 minutes in length and will consist of 4 stories. Because the presenters have chosen creative modalities for sharing with you, each is pre-recorded. We will honor each story with a few minutes of time for you to reflect and center before we transition to the next story. We also invite you to use that time to breathe. We'll provide a longer break between the second and third story, which is time to stretch, fetch water, or go to the bathroom. We will conclude with a 30-minute discussion with presenters and then a closing. We're really grateful to each of you who have chosen to be with us today or who will watch this video later to bear witness to these stories. This is especially powerful in the current context of cultural and political efforts to silence the voices of trans people and other marginalized populations. We all have the possibility for tremendous growth just by being here today. Our presence is an action of building community that holds the possibility for all of us to heal and create a world with more equal and respectful inclusion. Our hope is for all of us to gain hope and inspiration through our shared time together today. Now, I want to pass the screen on to Ruslan, who will introduce our first presenter.
Good evening, and welcome to the Speak Out Storytelling Project. My name is Ruslan. Our first presenter is Z, whose sharing involves multiple types of what they call sacred movement, along with words and story. I'm moved by their healing and growth. It's been an honor to work beside Z in this project.
Healing isn't easy or pretty or clean. It is messy and petty and mean. She hides in the darkness waiting to speak, but the words never come and leaves feeling weak. The meek voice of a kitten, pretty and new. The takedown, the breakdown, oh, what did you do? I didn't remember on purpose. I didn't want to slippery slide into memories that were gliding back with forgotten clarity. We stood sideways on the edge of the dirt driveway, the sun beating down on us just off the bus, playing in the trees, waiting for the dog to go back out of sight, safe to the right. A knife to scrape on the shell of the skin, to hold still and compliant. Let me see. Show me. I will help you wipe it clean. I walked to the edge and peered down at the garden. It seemed so far below my little body. Surely I couldn't fly, but maybe I could give it a try. I could fly to the woods, to a place that wasn't a falsehood, where I could climb the trees and realize my daydreams. For the burnt down barn hid my healing with the pine trees and the kneeling. I needed the woods to calm my spirit, to curl up in the grass and listen to the wind. A pink waffle cone, slick and soft, saved my heart as I was looking for a slice of life. Could you spare any rent, or at least 59 cents? For I have nowhere to go and miles to get there. Dancing with the train over the river, laughing through the pain, I would spin, content in my purpose to pray and find my way through the day. For the rhythm of life came to me and held my hand as a bit guide. Yet it wasn't enough, as I took one more shot, swallowed one more pill, dropped one more trip. I just kept trying to quit myself. I longed to scream the words out of my head, but I wasn't able to until I bled. For the cut of the hand that was supposed to heal cut into my skin and left scars in the deal. Oh, the things we used to do to her, drunkenly whispered at the edge of the bar. The memories fade and disappear. My mind becomes like water, for I was a reluctant daughter. The dance of the board and the hit of the fence, I cried out in my head and stopped beating on death's door, and I laid there thinking no more. I came back to the light, and everything just seemed so right that I was allowed to move on, leave this sorrow. My purpose became clear, to heal and to mend, to find a light in the dark and have a path to follow. When my choice was stolen, you also stole my voice, but I found it again in the muck and the mire, covered in moss and safe from your desire. Today, I will set my spirit on fire. For the flow of the dance saved my soul and allowed me a chance to get out of my own way and know that I was meant for so much more than before. For I will win, whether you cheer for me or not. I will show up for myself and know the only control I have is to show up for me, my dear. For I have moved on in my healing journey from doing this dance, so I do not die today, to doing this dance, so I may live in this body and mind and spirit. As I pray for forgiveness, to forgive myself, but I will never forget the lessons. For healing isn't pretty or easy or clean. It is messy and petty and mean. As I leave this time with you tonight, I hope you leave this space filled with light and wonder. I hope you get everything that you desire that was meant for you, and you give everything back in support of another. And I hope you do something that terrifies you and pushes you to growth. I hope you see life as a breakthrough moment and think to yourself, I'm not sure I can do that. But then do it and go, wow, look what I just did. And then do it again and again and again. And I hope you win in love and breathe in the wonder of this world. for you are the reason and the blessing onto this space. Do not forget you have a choice and a voice. Do not forget love. Thank you. The next presenter is A. Our work over the past 4 months has allowed many of us who are non-binary to bring forward our complex identities and experiences. Please lean in and listen to A's poetry and witness their art.
Hi, my name is A. Powell, and my pronouns are they, them. I live in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is in Canada, and I am part of the Speak Out Project. I wanted to be part of this to help with my healing, to do something radically different than I'd done before in the 30 years I've been working on healing, and specifically, I'm 48, and I wanted to share my words of my experience, to see my own self and maybe feel seen by others, and to offer a safe space for me to name my truth and experience and who I am. And hopefully the space offers some of that to you as well. I've taken 3 poems that I've written and cut them into stanzas and lines, and I'm going to randomly pull them out of this bowl. So I am going to be as surprised as you are as to what arises. I feel like that's a reflection of how trauma shows up in our lives, in our bodies, in our minds, in our emotions, that something just arises, it comes out of nowhere, and we're not sure what it's going to be or how we're going to feel, or sometimes even how are we going to get through this moment. And you figure out what you can with what you've got in front of you. And sometimes that looks great and looks like resilience, and other times that's really hard and messy and looks like I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just getting through. And all of it is part of living with it. And that's my belief, is that it's about learning how to live with it in the moment. There is no end in terms of now it's all done and tidied up with a little bow. We're always in process till our last breath. So the 3 poems that I've chosen are Me Too, which I wrote soon after the movement began. And a lot of it was mixed messaging that we get if we've been designated female at birth and raised as female in particular, but a lot of it is a reflection of the toxic masculinity we have as well, and just the systems that need to change, like colonization and patriarchy and heteronormativity. And as we know, many, many things, capitalism. And this is, okay. So I said I was going to commit to this. Here we go. Then the second poem is Saki, which is about a sexual victimization I experienced through an older boy that hung out with a crowd of us when I was around 7 or 8. And I wrote that about a year ago. And the last one's one very recent, just last November, after I had had a short-lived situationship with somebody, which was the first time interacting in a sexual, romantic, and intimate way with another human being since I'd really come into my own in terms of my gender and sexuality and just being me instead of living a life I thought I should be living or what other people wanted. And I'm also going to randomly pick up pieces of my art. Some pieces are finished, some are half finished, and it's all just part of the piece. It's going to feel disconnected and somewhat aflow at the same time, which again is a reflection, I think, of our experiences in life and trauma. And then it will end. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey, and I hope it offers you some healing as well. Be polite. Don't take up others' time. Don't take up space. Look good, feel good, be good. A good little girl, that is. Is a disconnection to my body's choice of vagina and disembodiment, disassociation from my body's experience of my 7-year-old self, feeling the older boy kid slide his hand into my pants while I asked, don't want it, never stop wanting it. Be sexy, be a nice girl, ride 'em cowgirl, be like a little girl. That's how I like 'em. People are less angry with me then. Life's messy. What the fuck's wrong with you? Everything. Look nice for the camera. Let's see that pretty smile. I'm leaning into you, losing myself within you and what I imagined we could be. Yet my female anatomy betrays the male me from its entirety, forsook for 4+3 me, who kneels in pain and bewilderment in front of the boy kid, frozen for 40+1. When is it done? So I rise into your palm and we both sigh inside, moving aside the lines of nakedness of all kinds, to find some kind of comfort inside. In every way, in every shape. That's right. I'm your worst fucking nightmare. Right now, for tomorrow, I think, and maybe the next day. Power of desire inside like this, pushing its way outside of me towards you, wanting to pull you back in and ride the seduction to its end. I already caused so much trouble. This is the least I can do. Trying to protect me from going through that again at 10, 23, whatever age of me. Put on a skirt, let me see that ass. Now I have to have me some of that, and it's all your fault. Come here, sweetheart. That's all right, honey. Oh, be a dear. Yes, dear. No, dear. You fucking dare? Penis fills my 7-year-old mouth, taking up all the space. I'm confused. I don't understand. Almost lost it there. But has clearly hauled me away from what I, my body, my energy wanted now. My radical honesty with you about this part of me, this experience inside me, this division without a vision. He said he had a secret to tell me about Andy, the boy I like. I don't like this boy. Fuck that. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck they. Fuck me. I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna fucking be. Don't be too nice. Don't have an opinion. Who the fuck asked you anyways? What? Hold up. What the fuck? Enough. Enough, I said. Get this in your head. So I roll my body closer to you, away from me. He told me I was being a good girl. I really want to be a good girl. Welcome back from break. Our next presenter is John, whose story is powerful, piercing, and very challenging. We're grateful to John for sharing John's story today.
Hello all, I'm John Clark, a bisexual, non-binary gendered person. Being politically active since I was a teenager, I've fought U.S. imperialism for our rights as working people, as a rank-and-file industrial organization unionist, for an environment that remains hospitable for humans, for a justice system less criminal, and for gaining my rights and my health care as a non-binary bisexual person. Currently, I'm a restaurant worker in Washington, D.C., facilitate a gender-expansive support group at Whitman Walker Health, and sit on the planning committee of Genderqueer DC. I was first victimized sexually as a young child. Some of my earliest memories are being abused by my teenage cousin. That only ended when he was almost caught. He had me tied up in the tool shed, and my father came looking for us. Then at 9, I was victimized by my sister's best friend. These traumas and others have followed me through to adulthood. I feel that my abusers stole my innocence and left me broken. When I was a young adult, an older friend sent me to a counselor. I was drinking heavily and sleeping around during the AIDS crisis and needed help to get my life back on track. While most of my partners until that time had been male, I had started dating women as well. My counselor wouldn't allow us to discuss bisexuality in group, so while he helped me get me back on my feet, my sexuality, gender, and history of sexual violence never got addressed. What resources that existed at the time about male childhood victims promoted the idea that homosexual imprinting was often the result of abuse. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s and with my partner over a decade that I confided my history of childhood sexual violence. What helped me begin the process, the trauma, was joining a support group for gay and bisexual male survivors at the DC Rape Crisis Center. Being in this group helped me witness others facing similar issues, and that my trauma didn't cause my sexual orientation or gender. When the group ended, I was unable to continue therapy. Later, I understood that while opening up about my history of trauma, I still had a lot of processing to do. I now describe it as being cut open to remove a cancer, but never being sewn back up. I joined the local bisexual community. That helped me learn not to hate my sexuality, and I found transgender people. I learned the words for how I had felt my whole life working with other genderqueer people, but I was unable to get the care or any direction for transition. I mitigated my gender dysphoria through body piercings, shaving, various rounds of naturopathy, growing out my hair, and dressing androgynously. That helped some. Years later, when the standards of care were updated to include third gender people, I began looking for resources to transition. I recommitted to becoming more active in the LGBTQIA+ communities and helped found a mixed gender bisexual group. I co-founded a bisexual podcast, and there I explored transgender topics. I started attending local transgender support groups, later becoming a leader in one of those groups. While transition helped me live my life more fully, I began dealing with discrimination and harassment at levels I had not faced before. My attitude was always to just keep moving forward and not let these violations set me back. That seemed to work for a while. But a few days before Halloween in 2018, I was raped late at night on my way home from community events. It was a cold, rainy Friday evening, and it was a busy one for me, starting out catching a bus downtown to support a friend's event for Intersex Awareness Day, then uptown for a bisexual community event. I stayed too late and missed the last metro train home, which meant late night buses. In the back of one of those buses were a group of young men discussing their prison stays. Unknown to me at the time, one would follow me off the bus, one who targeted me because he knew I was trans. I was forced to watch him follow me off that bus during my second interview at Metro Transit Police Headquarters. From Saturday until Tuesday, I was checked out. On Sunday, I messaged my primary care provider to get post-exposure prophylaxis. I've learned from my colleagues in transgender rights and support communities that many of us contract STDs through rape and sexual assault. I knew I had 72 hours to start treatment, so even in my fog, I was able to get the needed shots and pills. On Tuesday, my therapist helped me begin to process everything. I went home that evening and told my partner I was raped, sent a message to the Metro Transit Police the next day, and had a text conversation with RAIN's National Sexual Assault Hotline. That led me to the Network for Victims Recovery of DC, who provided me with a caseworker. She accompanied me to file the report with the Metropolitan Police Department, but because the crime happened on Metro property, they claimed jurisdiction. My second interview with Metro Transit Police left me feeling assaulted again. This happened without a female detective in the room to protect me from the accusations from the male detective that I was asking for it and proof that I wasn't. It's common when investigating crimes of sexual violence that we are victimized by those who are supposed to be our champions. Without my caseworker being there, this would have been an even more traumatic experience. We depended on Metro Transit Police Detective and the U.S. Attorney's Office to be in contact with us about the case. Autumn passed into winter without updates. My caseworker kept trying but got silence, excuses, or just put off. In early February, while going through a local blog, I found a seeking to identify post from Metro Transit Police, including pictures of the man who attacked me. That episode dragged me down even further. We tried to get approval from the DC Crime Victims Compensation Program so that I could get psychiatric care. While I had an individual therapist and a group therapist, I needed to be medicated in order to help recover. Finally, after getting approval and getting care, we were subsequently told that I was rejected. Not having money to pay, I went into arrears with my provider. My caseworker kept trying to get compensation and to find out the status of the case. It wasn't until summer that we learned from the U.S. Attorney's Office that the case had been dropped in spring, but it had never been communicated to us. I felt re-victimized learning this until news broke that the office was only prosecuting a tiny percentage of reported hate crimes in D.C. Knowing that I was just another LGBTQIA+ person denied justice by the Trump administration helped me understand why I had been treated so poorly, and it actually helped me in my healing process. Too often, sexual violence enters the spectacle with none of the issues victims need to recover present. The lack of content warnings proves that our interests as survivors aren't considered. I should have been warned about the images of my perpetrator online before coming across them. When rape is the topic, sometimes there's a hotline at the end of the episode or the report. But to me, media tends to exploit sexual violence to promote an agenda, to virtue signal, or to entertain an audience. Only good victims are allowed sympathy, and they tend to be middle-class, virtuous women or girls. The rest of us are left without a voice. Because we don't fit into the common narrative, we are erased, made invisible. As I age, I've seen the climate change radically for gender and sexual minorities, as we have begun to gain some of our rights on paper. But far too often, for those of us on the ground, there's still lots that need changing. From my own experience, one item rarely addressed is the impact of the high rate of sexual violence against those of us in LGBTQIA communities and the effect it has on us throughout our lives. That's why presentations like this are so important. They shine a light on how sexual violence affects us. I decided I needed to speak for myself in order to help others struggling in darkness. I know through my own life how being made to feel invisible kept me from seeking help for so long. I demand that we get the care that we deserve instead of being ignored. I ask those who are listening to help us meet our need to recover and live our lives to the fullest. Thank you. Our next presenter, Ruslan, gives us an amazing presentation of resilience through art.
My name is Ruslan. I am a transgender man and a painter of Ukrainian and Russian descent. I've spent many years in silence. I communicate through the poetry of painting. I live in a rural community. My love of art, community, and continual healing has led me on this journey of being part of the Speak Out Project. I welcome you to be part of this journey with me, to immerse you in art, words, community, and healing. Much of the healing process is random. You set up ways to catch the light, catch the help, break down or unravel parts of the systems contributing to pain for yourself or others. Healing, in my experience, happens unevenly and in layers. Community may not look like a church picnic, but it's available if you look and try. So that my art is inclusive, I will continue to briefly describe each painting shown. This is my hand as it bursts free from quiet, pain, loneliness, and abuse. These paintings show the process of my healing. And how I currently feel looking back at my past and embracing my present life fully. This painting is the word calm, a feeling I feel more and more often. I still struggle to find words and to feel safe using my words. Rather than centering on what was done to me, I am centered to life, vitality, resilience, and healing. This painting is of a purple eye, seeing community and hope shown by pieces of color within the pupil. It is easier for me to express myself non-verbally. These paintings tell a shortened story of what I once drowned in while swallowing orders to obey, to please others, but not myself. I was tossed by waves of challenge and abuse and caught by community. This painting is of an open gold-colored hand holding hope's pieces and colors showing fragments of insight and healing landing. The next painting shows my pain in red. I am caught by community, by multicolored random people, and events that help to heal me. I was caught by a web of humans and animals, of young and old therapists. The next two paintings show how they help me. This one is the word enough, with rainbow changing boundary dots surrounding it. I started with an older and amazing student therapist who was starting to work in later life, who had passed from this earth 10 years after helping me. This painting shows gold, purple, and silver pieces of hope and humanity. Later, my second therapist was also older and died a slow death while helping me learn to live with more fullness, color, and vitality. I created these paintings in layers, encouraged by community to try and to keep going. Here there is a purple background with colorful shards of hope. My health has struggled over the course of my life until now, in my second half of life. I live with life-threatening medical conditions in a world not designed for it. This painting is the word community on a grass-green background with 10 flowers painted to represent the original 10 members of Speak Out Group. The first layers of this painting is the transgender flag, which also includes trans Black, Indigenous, and people of color, shown by colors of black, brown, light blue, light pink, and white. I am a Ukrainian and Russian transgender man with multiple physical and emotional disabilities, children, loving partners, and layers of experiences that have taught me to lean into anything that is good. That's healing for me. That's strong. That's pure in the deepest sense of the word in the world. I painted this painting to show the resilient feeling I have when I am in this group for Speak Out with Men Healing in Forge. First, I painted a warm orange and red background, showing pain transforming. Then I painted the word resilient along with multiple layers of small and bigger shards of hope arising out of hopelessness. I continue to feel that random opportunities for good continue to show up for me, and the hidden fragments of my soul continue to surface and to move. Here is a painting of many layers, showing fragments of hope arising from hopelessness in the past. The layers represent the complexity of all of our identities, sometimes straddling layers of gender and personhood. My healing experience and my paintings occur in stages and in layers. My socialization, initially as female, in a conservative religious home, taught me many cloudy layers I continue to unlearn. I continue to unravel in order to find more joy. This spiral is an earlier layer of this painting, showing the way through can be a complex circular spiral web. I also continue to learn to allow complexity, mismatch, and inner unrest mixed with trust, and a bit of chaos, as sometimes random events conspire together to heal myself and others. I paint nearly every day. Here is a return to the painting of the word calm. Now I show you the layered process with this painting of a tree that represents community, identity, and growth. I am here to say, keep going. Keep trying. Be open to leaning into what is good. You are never too young or too old to heal. Allow the connections, the goodness, and the speed to be your own. Find your happiest pace and let it move and flow. The pink to red horizontal layers here represent much gratitude to the leaders and mentors and presenters in our Speak Out program group. Joining with you for workshops and a couple of seasons of time has been immensely healing for me. Here is the return of the dream and the reality of growing resilient. Resilient forever.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caleb. I use he, him pronouns. I'm one of the Speak Out coaches and a member of the facilitator team. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our wonderful presenters, Z, A, John, and Ruslan, for your courage and tenacity Your willingness to be vulnerable in sharing your healing journey and showing other trans and non-binary survivors of sexual harm that healing is possible and that they are not alone. For everyone tuning in, we encourage you to share your support for the presenters by sharing words of affirmation using the Q&A feature or using the reaction buttons.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Jameson, and I am also, she, her, hers are my pronouns. And I am also one of the facilitators for this project. It's been my honor to be here. We would also like to thank very much the ASL interpreters. Thank you for making this program more accessible. We'd also like to thank all the coaches for your accompaniment and your encouragement. And to my fellow facilitators, thank you all. And then lastly, a special thank you to Jordan Masiangelo for all of the creative and technical help that you have offered us.
We'd like to thank our generous funders, without whom this project would not have been possible. We're grateful to Reverend Mitchell for his thoughtful invocation. We want to thank all of those who applied to participate in the Speak Out project. Although some of the presenters who started the project with us are not here to present their work today, they helped to shape the space and community. Their journeys led in different directions, and we're grateful for their contributions.
And lastly, to you, our kind listeners and witnesses. It's our hope that as a result of listening to these stories, that we all do indeed feel a deeper affinity for love, for justice, for peace, and for the inherent worth of all trans and non-binary people everywhere, and for all living beings. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. I hope you have a good evening.